Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wildfire Tribe Happy Hour, 8 o'clock.
Monday night.
Sunday? No.
Monday.
Monday.
It's
Sydney
Monday,
time.
isn't it?
Welcome to Happy Hour to those of you that are getting this live, and hello to those of you that are not, that are getting it later on.
Yes.
Kylie's just going to talk for 1 hour, and we're going to listen, and we're just going to be amazed at all of the things that she has to talk about.
It's just so great to be alive. I've been thinking about reading, actually. Like, how cool is it to have books? How cool is it that we can be encouraged by books and inspired by books and informed by books? We can escape into books. I love it. I love reading. You were talking to me earlier about falling asleep reading.
Yeah, so lately, for some reason, actually for lately as in like the last 12 years, every time I read a Christian book, I go to sleep very quickly. So it might even be one sentence. It might be one paragraph. It might be half a page, maybe even a couple of pages sometimes if I'm at the peak of my alertness. But yeah, it's a very interesting, what's the word?
Conundrum. Well, I reckon you're just getting whacked.
And the reason why I blame it on Christian books is because every time I read a book that's not a Christian book, although there's been a couple that have made it through, when I read books that are not Christian books, I can read them without going to sleep. I don't know. It happened to me during Bible college too. When I was studying, I would always go to sleep, but then I could be wide awake to do other things.
You don't get to sleep when you read the newspaper. Not that you've read the newspaper for a really long time. Oh, not for years.
Welcome to Happy Hour. I have not got my sunnies on yet. Kylie's got my sunnies. I'm going to put them on now. I've got my hat on because I've got no hair and my head is very shiny. Should break the shine a bit. Hopefully you're also wearing your colourful shirts for Happy Hour.
Yes.
And got your cocktails. We've got our fizzy water.
Yeah, come on. Hey.
Hear that? So continue on, Kylie.
Well,
for those of you people, sorry, before you do, for people that are jumping on now, there is a few people that are on. Please just, do a thumbs up, a love heart, a comment, share, hit the share.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Because we have got a comment
that
just come up.
Chris, so good to see you.
Should put the Russ wig on.
Hey. You had to dig deep in the cellar room for that.
If you hang on for the next 40 minutes, mate, when we cut to an ad break, I might see if I've got it here somewhere. It is here, I think.
Hey, Dallas, how's it going? Hey, look, Dallas says he thinks Christian books have put him to sleep too.
When was the last time you tried to read one, mate? But I think that's what's going on. What they are. It is my interest, though, where it might not actually be possibly your interest, but it is actually like my interest. So it'll be like you reading books about guitars and falling to sleep.
Yeah, totally.
But I don't know. I just don't get it. I'm okay with it. I don't have to be able to sit through these books. It's not vitally important for me.
Well, we're really into the experiential things of life, like really, like actually like walking out the living part of things rather than acquiring the knowledge of, don't you reckon?
I don't know. You talk for a while. I'm just going to concentrate on this. I think Christian books would put me to sleep as well.
Well, I was thinking, like, what books were in my life have I really liked over the last couple of years. I bet this is a really good one that I've loved over the last couple of years, The Ecstasy of Loving God. And it's this book by John Crowder, and here's a trip. He talks about trances, raptures, and the supernatural pleasures.
Yeah, I've read that book. I didn't read it without falling asleep there. I have made my way through most of that book.
It is a wild
had
book.
to read it,
I
actually.
I loved it. Why did you have to read it?
Oh, maybe I didn't have to read that for study. Maybe you made me read it.
Yeah, I made you read it because there's no way you would have had that book in your course.
That's true. The Ecstasy of Loving God, trances, raptures, supernatural pleasures of Jesus Christ. No, they wouldn't have. No, I wouldn't have had to read that one.
And he talks about a lot of trippy stuff in there, like just fully tripping out, like
what, Kylie? Like trippy stuff, as in what? Because you can have lots of trippy stuff without reading a book about trances.
Well, he kind of talks about a relationship with God being like taking drugs, really. Like he equates all those things to like, like to toking on Jesus, like literally smoking smoking the Jesus pipe, like, and just getting intoxicated on that like love that, that kind of whack that we talk about. Well, we're so whacked, like we're wasted. We're so wasted. And I mean, how wasted have we been over the years? Like some of these people that are jumping on now, you guys know us from our past. You've seen us in hotels and you've seen us in pubs. You've seen us gig in bands. You've seen us just living on the edge of like that kind of party lifestyle. And the part I love that John talks about in the book, The Ecstasy of Loving God, is that he equates our relationship with God to these ecstatic spaces of like taking drugs, like being high, like just being wasted. And I love it because it's that thing that we long for. Like it's like that piece of our body that wants to just be in that inebriated state. But it's just like this, you can be inebriated on Jesus.
Happy, wacky, loving.
Yeah, come on. Hey, Ange, great to see you. Welcome aboard. Oh, and Freed's here. Jacaranda time. Yes, it is Jacaranda time.
It was an hour out of Vegas when the crowd had kicked in.
Come on, that's it.
I haven't been to Vegas.
Yet. Vegas is, we're like dressed pretty Vegasy tonight. I've got my happy hour shirt on.
I haven't been there that I'm aware of anyway.
No, not in the waking hours.
I know people that have gone there from Australia and may as well not have gone there.
Yes, yeah, they've lost everything and come home with their tail between their knees. Knees? Is it knees? What is it? Tell me. Tail between their legs. Like knees is part of legs. It's got to count. Who else doesn't quite nail the sayings? So then, like, what else is there? This is another really great book that I enjoyed. This book is called Eat, Pray, Love. I'm sure, like, it's like
I started reading that.
It's a really like a best-selling book.
It's a girly book.
Yeah, it's a girly book.
Yeah.
But it's like it's like an escape into all of these pieces of ourself that you really, sometimes you feel like, what else is there to life? Like, what else is, what am I missing in the busyness of it all? Is there like something more that I'm just like not getting? Yeah, and I just love the journey that she went on and like this soul searching journey. And yeah, I haven't seen the movie. Did we see the movie?
No, I wouldn't have.
Well, it's kind of like a romantic. It's probably a romantic movie. So you're not into romantic movies, are you?
Only if they've got murder, blood, drugs,
and fast cars, or fast motorbikes,
explosions. So if there's a little bit of love mixed in with the murder, I'm okay with that.
Well, the other book that I had that I really enjoyed over the last 10 years, this is the first one of it, but this one is called, it's like an allegory, I guess, a novel. It's called The Fall of Lucifer. And it is seriously, you haven't read these ones, have you?
No. And before we come on, we spoke about when you talk to me.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Yeah. And yeah, these are really cool. This is like, I loved it because it's like the story of Gabriel, the archangels, Gabriel, Michael, and Lucifer. And then like a whole bunch of other crazy, trippy stuff that's actually probably happening right now in the world. Like it talks futuristically, like when it was written 10 years ago or more. It talks futuristically about like 2024 and all that kind of stuff, which is like now. And yeah, so it's cool. I like things that stretch my imagination sometimes, because I feel like so often that's where we're framing up our future, is out of this place of our imagination. And if we're walking in these spaces with God, and we're like, okay, what could our world look like? You know, what are the possibilities? What am I stepping into? Like, how are we moving forward and creating something that's better? You know, rather than just surrendering to the way that it is, how can we make our world better?
So if you're just tuning in now, please join in by love-hearting, liking, sharing, which is really cool. It gets it to other people that may not be aware that we do this every Monday at 8 o'clock. Angela has said a journey of discovery for her. It was all within. I'm assuming that's about the book, that Eat, Pray, Love one.
Yeah.
Is that not the case for all of us, that the journey, the answer or the discovery is within? Maybe we could get Ange to come on the screen. I wonder if Ange has got her. Have you got your happy hour shirt on, or a bright pair of sunglasses or something? You're in a location with good internet and want to be on a screen. We could bring you into the conversation and force you to have a conversation with us in front of other people. Is that tempting for you, Ange? So Kylie's come on to talk about books by the looks of it. I've come prepared with nothing as usual. It's just the same as my entire life. I've not been prepared for anything at all. But I've still managed to make it to the age of 51.
That's wild.
You sure that I'm just 51?
Yeah.
51.
I think.
And we had half a day today with your parents, and
yeah,
your
it was
parents
awesome.
are amazing people.
It was
not saying
very
that
cool.
just in case they're watching this. They're probably not, because I think they went to bed because they've been driving a lot. And they've got a big day on tomorrow. So it's wonderful to see them. But for us to be 50 and 51 or thereabouts, that makes them about another 20 odd years in front, doesn't it?
I know, it's crazy. Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So we've known each other. We've been married for nearly 30 years, and our parents actually know each other, and all of our parents are still alive and all still know each other.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy, because we grew up together. We were at primary school together.
Yes, you were my girlfriend when we were in primary school.
Yes. It's pretty wild, isn't it? Actually, that reminds me, I have the, I'll just grab it.
Yeah, so we've been married for 30 years next year. There's my coffee mug that Kylie bought for me from Dream World.
Yeah,
keep spinning it.
From Dream World. In 1984, I bought that for you and gave it to you. And then when we met up again after we left school, because we hadn't seen each other for most of high school, and then I came to your place, your flat that you were sharing with a bunch of people, a bunch of blokes. And
I think there were drugs being used at that place, Kylie.
Well, even if there wasn't, there was a lot of pizzas being consumed, because your laundry, where I found that cup in your washing detergent bucket, was filled with about 40 empty pizza boxes.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, but I found that. I remember.
Is that clean? Can I use that?
Yeah, you can. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it might be dusty. Yeah, it's probably dusty.
And just know I'm looking very daggy. That's fine. We only need your head. I'm sure your head doesn't look daggy.
No, you just know that it's coming. We'll give you notice, Ange. Don't worry.
No, not necessarily. We like to just shock people and get them on and get them to talk and have no preparation, just like I've come with no preparation.
Yes. Yeah. So I love that. I think that that was pretty wild when I found that cup in your washing powder all those years later.
So what about people that get married when they're like the age that we were, and then 5 years, 10 years, 15 years later, everything turns to crap and you can't make it work?
Well, I think you just have to make a decision, don't you? You have to decide together whether you want to push through or if you don't, because
we've had that happen all around us.
Definitely. We've had lots of friends over the years that have gone their own ways, and we've had lots of friends that haven't gone their own ways. And I feel like both is okay, you know? Like if you can come through something amicably, and I know that's the hardest part for a lot of people, that's difficult, because you don't want to just waste years and years of your life being desperately unhappy.
But in Christian circles, Kylie, keep looking at that screen.
Yeah.
It is not highly encouraged to just go your own way.
No.
It's the opposite. And I don't know that I'd limit that just to Christian circles. I guess once you make the vows, etc., and you head into marriage together, you make a commitment to stay together for as long as you possibly can. But it is certainly, you know, what we've witnessed in time with other people's marriages. Some people's marriages around us have died a natural death for many, many reasons. And I guess like in some of the circles that we've mixed in, especially in the last 10 or so years in that church environment, most people in that environment really are for, you know, stick it out, stay together, you can make it work, you have to make it work, it's the right thing to do. You know, it says in this chapter and verse in the Bible that you have to make it work.
And I think the hardest part, I mean, I used to think that years ago, but I think I've changed. I've definitely changed the way that I see relationships now. Like I just think if people just can't get to that stage, because often working through stuff means changing yourself, you know, and realizing that there are things that you need to change. And, you know, we can't just always be sticking to our guns going, well, this is just how I am. You just got to get used to it. You know, like sometimes for your relationship to go to another level, you actually do need to both take responsibility for the parts of yourself that you can change, because you can't really change the other person. Like I can't change you and you can't change me, but I can change me.
I've tried and I've tried and I've tried. If I could sing, I would sing a song with those, man. I've tried and I tried and I tried. But no, you're right, it doesn't work. And it's fruitless. It's a waste of energy. And quite often I have to admit to, when I'm trying to change something about you to make me happy, it's actually something about me that needs changing.
Yeah.
I had a question there. I can't quite read it because I haven't got my reading glasses on. I have my Hawaiian sunglasses on.
What determines what's possible?
What determines what's possible, as in a marriage? What's possible in an outcome if two people are heading different directions? Is that the kind of question you think that is? What determines what's possible?
Maybe.
I think part of what determines what's possible is also what both parties are okay with having happen. So what do you desire to have happen in a relationship? If, for instance, I decide that I've had enough of Kylie not looking at the camera and fiddling with the computer and not saying things when she's supposed to say things, and I let that get on top of me and gets worse and worse and worse, and she never ever learns. Then
this sounds like the story of your life, honey.
Then if I let it get to the stage where that affects our relationship and she never learns, she never changes, I have to come to a stage where I accept that that's just who she is. That's the result of marrying her, that she cannot be changed. And is it even worth changing? Therefore, do I want to change and accept her for who she is, or do I just have enough of that and just go, well, I am out of here. I can't handle that. I think there's lots of different things, isn't there, that can happen within relationships that make it, I was just going to say that make it not possible to continue, but I think that when forgiveness steps into a relationship with either or both parties, anything is possible. I've seen that as well. I've seen forgiveness step in. I've seen people offer forgiveness to other people for things that, in regular daily walks are difficult to even begin to think you could forgive people for. But when forgiveness is involved, it's extremely healing.
Yeah, it is. Because, we've done and said things to each other over the years that caused a lot of difficulty in times of great hurt. And and it's hard to move through those things sometimes. Like, it takes a really long time. And I think what you're saying about the power of forgiveness is it is really very powerful. And when you forgive someone, you're actually setting yourself free. Like, you're not actually saying it's okay that you did that to me. You're just releasing the power that hurt had over you so that you can move through that, and you can move on. Your heart can find space to receive a different kind of energy, rather than that energy that is consuming you with those negative feelings about that person and the hurt that was caused.
We went to a wedding recently. Instead of just talking about things that we have no examples for, we went to a wedding recently, and a wedding of a younger couple, and the parents of the bride had split up 10 years ago, and had walked out that, that difficult stage that happens quite often after that happens, where, there's lots of hurts, etc., and to the stage of forgiveness over a course of 10 years. So at this wedding where where the bride was married, with the parents having previously split up and gone through some real difficulties, forgiveness has entered that relationship between the parents, and it was phenomenal to see the repair that had occurred in everybody's relationship when forgiveness was in the picture for all parties.
It was beautiful. It was such a beautiful expression of coming together in this melded family now, where there are all these different pieces where people can just be in the same space together. And even though there has been hurts and pain that has been shared, that can turn into this beautiful sweetness at that point when you, like you say, that power of forgiveness. It's really very, very special. Yeah. And I feel like that's what's helped us through the years, is to be able to navigate those most difficult times where we've been learning about ourselves, and in that journey of learning who we are as individuals, that we sometimes have hurt one another in those places out of a frustration that, why can't you see things my way? Why can't we move in this direction? Like, why do we need to be stuck in this place that we are? And all of those different things. And then, you find this place on the other side when you can move through those frustrations, where you actually find a deeper place of connection. And
I look through some of the names of the people that are popping up on our screens as we're talking, and I see in an instant history with people, over the last 30 years, and a lot of people that names are popping up, etc., people from 30, 20, 25 years ago, and they know our history. They know that when we were younger and married youngly, we were 19 and 21 when we got married. We were very much involved in the party scene and drinking and drugs and everything that goes, doesn't have to go with it, but
playing in bands, and
it certainly was our story.
Working hard and playing hard.
Everything we've put our hand to, we've gone as hard at it as we possibly can. So without having to go into all the stories, because a lot of people know them, and quite frankly, sometimes it's a bit boring talking about them over and over and over. But anybody that's in their late teens and early 20s, etc., in that party scene, popping different things on your tongue and all those, snorting things up your nose and everything else, knows what that's like. And so that was definitely a part of our early existence. And in amongst all of that, we were freshly married, trying to start a new life, and it was pretty messy. It was very messy.
Yeah.
Very, very messy. And somebody's just put on the screen there before, only 33% of young Christian newlyweds, I can't read that anymore, survive 30 years. Can survive 30. Yes, about a third, that's saying. I don't know if that's just Christian people or across the board. It's probably, I haven't looked that up, but yeah, it's to get to 30 years has taken a lot of give and take. It's definitely, personally in our marriage, it's been a lot of Kylie forgiving me and just putting up with me and waiting for me to have my awakening moment for things to hopefully get better. And probably in the last 10 or so years, things, hopefully Kylie would agree, have got a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. And, and in amongst all of my waiting for you to have your awakening moment, I also needed to wake up to things as well. Like I was still figuring out who I was, what I even liked, and who am I? Who am I in my own self, and who are we as a couple?
That's a good question there. Somebody's asked, would you say your way of partying is different to my way of partying? That's a really good question, because I just think that what we're talking about now, which is unscripted, and we never hopped on this screen to talk about this either. So we haven't come with an agenda of trying to tell people what to do with regards to partying or anything else. We're just sharing our existence. And yeah, I'd imagine your partying is different to mine. I imagine that the life that you've got, laid out in advance for you, it looks completely different to mine. And I think that it's supposed to. I think that we have a unique life prepared for each one of us, where, not even throwing into the mix what you believe as to how you got here creation-wise or anything, but I think we can all accept that we're all unique individuals and we all have a different role to play in life. So do you party different to me? I know guys who love pig hunting. I know guys who love riding motorbikes, we all have different interests. We all have different ways to go about things. I think the topic so far tonight, which is to be blamed on me because I brought it up, was about the relationship, and not even marriage, but just relationships. How do you navigate healthy relationship?
And I feel like that was the part for us too that got because when you're partying really hard, often you're saying things to each other that you wouldn't say if you weren't really drunk. Your emotions are heightened in a way that they're not when you just kind of like not in, you're not intoxicated or you're not high or something like that. And you don't have that sensibility gauge where you're actually able to take in what's going on around you as well when you're like really, really smashed. So I feel like that's kind of like the pressure cooker part of being in that real excessive partying that was difficult for us, because we'd be going along. You're working. You don't have much time to have all those discussions that you kind of need to have as a couple, or if you're doing life decisions and all that kind of stuff. But that gets lost when you get to the weekend and it's finally time where you have some time to spend with each other, talking about your future or things that you might be doing, and then you just get on it. And then you're having those discussions fueled in this space of intoxication. And I think we used to just fight. Like we would just argue all the time in those heightened situations because we never made space for each other around that. Like we never made sober space, did we?
No, but that, once again, that's just our story. I think it's possible, because this is not an anti-drink discussion.
No.
So I think it's possible for people to drink alcohol. I think it's possible for people to do lots of different things that we have and haven't done, and have a healthy relationship with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
This is it again, not one of those you shouldn't drink because when you're drunk you don't make sense and nothing ever works kind of thing.
But that was our story, because we are all or nothing people. So we were always, when we were on. We were not just, let's just have a quiet 2 drinks. Like that didn't exist in our life. We didn't just have 2 drinks and then go home and sit by the fire and have a nice little
2 drinks every hour, at least.
So that was the part in our young relationship that made it difficult to grow in a healthy way, because we didn't make any healthy space for each other. We were just like working or we were partying.
Yeah, I see some comments on the side of the screen there from what I can read. Moderated partying is okay and normal. You don't know each other till you're 27, 32. Yeah, it's possibly true. Once again, I just think that we're all completely different. There's even people, within relationships where the husband drinks, the wife doesn't, the wife shouldn't, the husband probably can. There's no sort of formula to how life's, laid out for all of us necessarily. You just got to figure it out as you go. And, the ages at which you come to, be comfortable in your own skin or know who you are or know your identity. Are you a son of God? Are you, depending on what you think your identity is, that can happen at different ages too. So I don't think that there's, necessarily a formula for any of this. And I think that's part of the creativity of life is that you actually get to make it up as you go along.
Yeah.
And we're talking to Kylie's parents this afternoon about how sometimes we just want to have fun. Sometimes everything just seems so serious.
I know. I want to have more fun.
I have no rules.
Yeah.
No theological debates. No discussions about the voice, yes or no.
Exactly.
Or any war in the world.
Exactly.
Let's just can we just tell jokes and laugh or just have
fun. A belly laugh. How good is a belly laugh? Where you just cry laughing.
When was the last time that you cry laughed?
Oh, it's been too long.
I just
I have a little giggle that goes on in me.
But you're lucky because you've got a very funny husband.
That's true. You make me laugh all the time.
Yeah.
But you see, you go out, I'm actually quite funny too, but you go out of your way not to laugh at me. You don't give me the satisfaction of even a little smirk.
Solving relationship issues is a super character challenge and development. True. Absolutely true. I think that, that's a really brilliant statement. I might just put that up on the screen there. So you can all see that solving relationship issues is a super character challenge and development. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, because we're all so unique and we're all unique in our own selves, but we have unique relationships. We all have different ways of working our stuff out. We all have different requirements and things that we need and stuff that sets us on fire and stuff that makes us laugh. And it's different for all of us. So what Rosie's saying there, solving relationship issues is a super character challenge and development, because it's really about getting to know yourself and getting to know your partner and knowing how you work best together, isn't it?
And solving those relationship issues is powerful because once they're solved, there's less of a chance of that happening again too.
Yeah.
Once I was listening to something earlier today, yet again about forgiveness. And do you know how long it is in between times where something is requiring forgiveness and when you're supposed to give it?
No.
1 day. So when the sun goes down.
Just 1 day. Oh, yeah, just 1 day.
So if you're taking unforgiveness to bed with you and you're rising again in the morning, you're waking up again with it. And so solving relationship issues, etc., where forgiveness is required means that it's done that day and that it's not required to be dragged on to another time. Super character challenge and development. That was great. Thank you, Rosie. Rosie, you should step in and run the show.
I love it.
So for those of you that have not tuned in before, this is Happy Hour. Obviously, hopefully it's obvious. It's on the screen there in front of you. We do this at 8 p.m. Sydney time every Monday, and other times maybe randomly. We have done it randomly as well. Sometimes we advertise that it's on, sometimes we don't, where we can be organised, but we just don't seem to be.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be too stressed by time, I think.
But if you are on, please, most of this is actually broadcast on YouTube as well, but obviously on Facebook. If on the bottom of your Facebook screen, if you can click that little arrow button with the curly little arrow button, the share one, and just share it onto your profile or one of your pages or something, just to get things moving for us, so that we have an opportunity for more people to be involved in the conversation. Please, if you want to comment in on your Facebook page. And when things work, they work really well. We are getting some of the comments come up on the side of the screen, so we'd like to see more of that, and ask any questions that you have. I think we're relatively authentic, genuine, and honest, so we do want to be. So if there's anything that you want to discuss with us, ask us questions about, let us know, and we can talk about those things. Otherwise, we don't really come with even a topic tonight. We've just made up the relationship topic as we've been going, because I just really felt like Kylie needed to work on being a better wife.
You've always got the right answers, honey.
So maybe some character development is in store for you, Kylie. Maybe you should give that some thought.
Yeah, I think like Chris was saying earlier in the conversation, he was talking about one of your alter egos, Russ.
Oh, yes. So Russ is a character that sometimes appears when Sean is not here, and he has a mullet and a flannelette shirt, but he mostly appears out in country areas.
Yes.
He's been seen in places out near Coonabarabran and Dubbo, out that kind of way. He's also made an appearance at Springshaw in Queensland.
Stand-up comedy set to match none. Unbelievably funny.
So across the bottom of your screen there is our website name, wildfiretribe.life. Kylie, why don't you tell people what Wildfire Tribe is? Are we trying to create a tribe of people that are following us? What are we trying to do?
Well, Wildfire Tribe is essentially bring you on, because we just want to see everybody thriving in whatever it is that sets them on fire. We want to see you walking in the fullness of your life and whatever that looks like for you. So, you know, those dreams and those passions that you have, we just want to see people connected to their true self. We want to see people connected to God and just walking out your mystical journey with Him into the mysteries of whatever it is that is in front of you, what's in your now. And yeah, so we've just got a whole bunch of ways. We do one-on-one mentoring, we do group mentoring, we do Zoom gatherings. Sean's got a men's group that is meets every fortnight, and they talk about the mysteries of God and just being.
It's just like this. It's nothing too serious. It's just our Zoom, our men's group is like, every second Wednesday, and it's a Zoom. Most people know what a Zoom is by now. It's just little squares on the screen with fellas hanging in their square, and we just talk about whatever comes our way. I actually do introduce a topic for that, usually just on the day. I might send a message out, fellas, this is a topic. You can think about it, so that if we run out of things to talk about, or we actually want to enlarge on it, or we think it's worth talking about, we do. But it's just like this. We just want to get together as guys and talk about guys stuff every second Wednesday. That's one of the things that's on wildfiretribe.life, the website. I've got written across the bottom there, Russ is a top bloke.
Yay, come on, Russ is a top bloke. Russ wasn't always like my favorite person, but he definitely made me laugh. And Russ had some fans.
I think Russ had some fans, yes.
He also had some haters.
He's a bit rude. He's a bit burpy.
I actually had an official complaint by one customer who asked me to make sure Russ got the sack.
Yes, but Chris, thank you. I'll be sure to let Russ know that you love him and that you want to see more of him. And I've had a look around the room, and he's not here. He's not here this evening, but he may well pop up next week.
Yeah, come on. He's a pretty happy bloke. I think we should invite him on as a guest. I could interview him next week.
You could interview Russ next week, yes, but I think Russ fancies you, and I'm not overly happy with Russ being in the same room.
Yeah, we'll see what unfolds on Happy Hour next week.
So last week we spoke at our men's group about abundance. The word abundance.
Nice.
What does abundance mean to you, Kylie? Are you living a life of abundance?
I think abundance means like overflow or fullness in every area. Like it's like, your relationships are thriving and flourishing, your finances are thriving and flourishing, your just like your workplace, your heart stuff, your passion is like everything is thriving. That's what I see as something being abundance. Like, what were people saying in you? Like, what was the general?
Well, I can't
response
divulge what people were saying in my men's group,
yeah.
Kylie. It's a men's group.
Secret men's business. Well, then, what would you say then?
So for me, abundance is a fullness that I feel. For me, it's like a fullness inside of me. So because I know what it's like to have motorbikes. Motorbikes into the conversation. I know what it's like to have everything. I know what it's like to have 2 trikes, a motorbike, a car, a wife, children, a house on the coast, money in the bank. And I know what it's like to have none of those things. And I know what it's like to feel like you know the creator of the world and feel like you know that he loves you. So for me, abundance is starting from there. So once I've got that figured out and I've got that knowledge going on, then everything else for me comes from there. So the motorbikes and the guns, not that I have. I said guns just for somebody that I know is watching. I'm not like a mad gun freak, but I do have a gun license. But so those other things, those material things, I suppose, that you talk about in Christian circles, there's this material discussion. Those things I know for me are not the things that ultimately make me feel like I live a life of abundance or give me contentment or peace or any of those things. So abundance for me is a deep within feeling. So as I walk down the street this morning, if I'm feeling like I'm lacking in anything at all, but I still have that knowing that the God that created me is in me and I feel like he's present, then I'm abundant.
Just as you're talking, I'm just feeling an abundance.
Yeah. Because I know what it's like to have nothing materially and just have him as well. And that's a much more abundant feeling than the other way around. In fact, I think that's what Jesus was talking about when he was talking about the rich man being difficult for him to go to heaven, more difficult than a camel going through the eye of a needle. It's like, it's not that he's not going to get to go to heaven unless he gives away all of his money. It's not necessarily that. To me, it's like you can't have that. Like a life of fullness is not answered by a life of money.
Yeah.
The camel going through the eye of a needle, I've heard that discussed in different places or read about it too. I'm feeling a little bit funny too. Shalom. The meaning of shalom.
Abundance is Aussie for shalom. Whoa.
Yeah. Have a drink of your water, Kylie. She gets this clicky mouth thing. There's a condition called misophonia, and I'm going to claim it. I'm going to claim it as being a condition that I have, just for the moment anyway.
Is that the one where you don't like the sound of chip packets crunkling?
Yeah, but I think it can be any sound. That's just, yes, some people.
You're very sound sensitive.
Packets of chips being crinkled, lollies getting unwrapped. I know our sons deliberately do it sometimes when they get something that's in plastic. They'll go like that a lot. make that crinkly noise, and it sort of makes me want to punch somebody. It's like that with your mouth when it gets that clicky noise when you need to have a drink. Misophonia. That doesn't make me feel abundant, Kylie, when that's going on.
Yes, I guess it's one of those things, one of those relationship things that you just learn to live with.
What would you say, because if we can tie this back into the relationship thing, what would you say has been the most annoying habit that I've had for the last 30 years?
I just can't. I can't.
What about when I used to smoke in the house? What about when I used to smoke cigarettes in bed?
Just smoking in general.
Can you believe that? I find it hard to believe.
We used to, like, when in the 90s, we used to smoke everywhere. You could smoke in restaurants and like just everywhere. People smoked in workplaces and hospitals, and like it was madness.
It was about 2000 maybe 2002 when our youngest son was born. I'd say that's about the time the smoking in hotels started to move away from the bar, and slowly from there started to move away out of the hotels altogether, and slowly started to move away from sporting ovals, etc. in Australia. If you're listening from or watching outside of Australia, obviously in different countries there's different rules in different places, but yeah, it's only been in the last just over 20 years probably where it's sort of smoking in Australia has been forced outside of premises, etc. So back when we were married, before we had children, we used to smoke in our house, in our workplaces, in our cars, in the toilet, in bed, didn't we?
Just madness.
And now when I walk down the street and smell a cigarette from 100 meters away, I can smell it, and it's like, what's that?
I know. You don't realize when you smoke, though, that you can smell it like all the way up the street.
No, you think that when you just turn your mouth aside
and just blow it over that way that it won't be
smell it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Do you hate smokers, Kylie?
No, of course not.
We
I don't hate any people. No. Like, we're all on our journeys, and everyone's got their stuff.
That's the difficulty, because we were talking about this yesterday or the day before. When you stop drinking or you stop smoking, quite often people will say, don't you become one of those smokers that goes around telling everybody to quit smoking. And I haven't become that. But at the same time, being around smoking when you don't smoke is really difficult to be around, isn't it?
And I think it's one of those things that comes back to what we were talking about before too, with abundance. Like, all of a sudden you realize you have an abundance of so many other things in your life when you just remove some of those things. Like, when we didn't smoke anymore, we have like more money, and we have more health, and we can breathe better.
Have more money.
The coughing is, I love that you don't cough anymore. Like, you used to cough all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have, and I guess you don't find yourself in social situations as much where people smoke when you don't smoke as well. So you're not going outside all of the time to be around other people like that.
Yeah.
You're not in those parts of the hotel necessarily. For us, we've definitely got a lot more active over time since we've stopped that as well.
Well, we never used to be those exercising people, and now we're those exercising people. Those people when we used to go to the pub and we'd look out and we go, what are they doing? Like, why are they walking? It's so funny. Like, and it's just one of those things too, how you go through different stages, and as you make changes to your own lives, and then you decide that together that you want to make different changes, it can actually transform the whole way that you live together, and the kind of stuff that you're engaging with, and the different things you do in your life. Like, we walked the coast last year. Like, we walked from Eden to the Central Coast. So it was like 600 Ks. We did it with backpacks. And there's no way that we would have done that if we hadn't have had a more healthier lifestyle, I don't think. Like, we wouldn't have gone, oh, yeah, let's just like walk the coast.
Definitely not.
Like, we would have just wanted to be in all the pubs, and, instead we were just like out with nature, and we're like just, camping, and just with our little, cup of tea billy thing that we would make our breakfast, and like you can live so lean when you don't have to have a lot of those other trimmings and stuff that we kind of have just kind of let go of, I guess.
So why have we let go of them, Kylie?
Well, it's interesting. I just feel like it was a natural progression to.
Is it something to do with this Christian stuff?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Because I know that lots of people that watch this know what we're about, as in the Christian mystic side of things, and lots of people don't. So I just want to make sure that we're trying to cater for as many people that are watching this, so they understand what we're about, where we're coming at these things from.
Yeah.
So are we coming into this discussion about smoking and drinking and relationship stuff from the side of Christianity, faith, that sort of discussion, or is it just like just a regular conversation at a cafe or a pub?
Well, I feel like it's a life conversation, and I feel like there's no line for us. We don't go, oh, no, that's like our church kind of person that we are over there. That's our Sunday best. Like we've actually just got this never ending, like exciting, abundant relationship with our Creator, who we're realizing actually has a home within us. So that the essence of that is like, oh wow, like we've got these amazing bodies that we get to live in and walk around in. We want to start caring for that. We want to like live this long, vibrant life. We don't want to just be like getting ourselves prepared for one day when we're going to retire and die. Like we want to actually go, well, what else can we make a difference in? What else how can we be expanded so that we have more vitality? And I guess the more awakened that you become to the essence of who we are in our own walks, like, wow, we're like sons and daughters of the Creator of the whole universe. Like we get to function in these spaces and engage with nature and do all these really cool things, have wild adventures. Like we get to do all these amazing things that we didn't realize were possible before. I think.
So for me, there's a good question that's been asked there about Christianity, partying, etc., and our stories around that. I'll just share a little bit of that at the moment. I was at Bible college in 2012, and I was drinking a fair bit then. I always drank a fair bit, but I was smoking, like properly smoking, a packet of cigarettes a day. And when I started that Bible college, that was one of the, or two of the habits that were not allowed at that Bible college. It was spoken of as we started that there's certain things that are ground rules for doing the Bible college, and you're to be, if you did drink, then you were to be a person that had an ability to not drink. And I don't know what the guidelines were around that. I can't remember, but I didn't fall within that anyway. I drank way too much and I smoked, and that was a real no-no. And so as I signed up to do Bible college, I was honest about both of those habits, and both of those habits were allowed to continue for me. I don't know. Anyway, that's my story. That's what happened with me. So the people running the Bible college said, well, hopefully across the course of this time together, maybe we can do something about that, but you're still allowed to do Bible college. So I was still doing that as a Christian person. And so the rest of the story as how we came into Christianity, etc., throughout our lifetime, absolutely, we can talk more about that. I think right for now, I just cut to a 30-second little break. I think Kylie's got something made up here, so I can just have a drink of water and we'll be right back. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your ad break and there was enough time for you to go and help yourself to a drink in your fridge.
I don't know if you called me. I was just telling Sean not to hassle me.
which I wasn't doing anyway.
So where did those questions go again?
Yeah,
because I want to answer one of those questions. So how did you find Christianity after partying? Well, I have never not been a Christian. So I've grown up my whole life knowing God.
Or were you Christians the whole way?
Yeah, and I knew him from a little girl. I remember just wandering in the garden with him. I remember playing with little people and fairies in my imaginary world as a little tiny girl, and knowing that God was always in amongst all of that with me. And so I walked out my whole partying time with him. He was in the middle of it all. And when I was, so I was born into a Christian family, and we didn't always go to church. We went to church sometimes we didn't. But I was always brought up with awareness about God, and we went to a Christian school. So that's where we met, was at a Christian school. And most of the people that we partied pretty hard with for a lot of years were people from the Christian school. Like,
that was really messed up.
There was a lot of dysfunction and religion that hurt a lot of people when we were young. And we saw a lot of damage and a lot of scarred hearts and a lot of people that just turned right away from God and said, I don't want to have a bar of it. I wasn't one of those people, because I wasn't in any of those really totally messed up churches. When I was younger, Mum and Dad were really good at teaching us just about our own relationship with God, just praying your own self and carving that out with God. And so I think I just held on to my relationship with him during all of those years. And I think the hardest part for me was walking through the condemnation that I carried, because my understanding of God was, even though it was like this relational walk where I felt like he was real for me, I also had this voice of religion saying to me, but you can't do those things. This is bad behavior. This is like, this is all of those places that you're going to, they're from the devil, like all of this fear and all of this horrible stuff, where I would constantly be beating myself up about the choices I was making. So, or I would be walking with one foot on each side of the road, like half of the week I'm partying hard like a wild woman, and the other half I'm minding my P's and Q's, and I'm, hanging out with people at church every now and then, or I'm doing whatever I was doing. And so I feel like that relationship of being this kind of like, what do you call that when you have multi-personalities? Like, I didn't know which person I wanted to be.
I think part of your dilemma too, if I can just step in for a moment, is that we got married when we were 19 and 21. And that's when, Sakali left school. We were married straight after that. And she stepped into a life of a person that didn't want anything to do with that God stuff.
Yeah, and that's true. And I guess so. And that's one of those things too, where you go into something like, we were really good friends. Like,
most Christian schools need a decade of moderate partying. Yeah, I've got friends from that school that had a decade of moderate partying, and now it's 30 years later.
Yeah, and we've still know a lot of people that are doing it tough, because I think at some point you need to be able to take responsibility for the difficult things, for moving through the difficult things in your life. Like, I feel like some of the trauma that we have in ourselves from some of the things that we went through as children and that we were subjected to at school, like some of the things that we walked through in those early years when we stepped into adulthood, and we didn't really, there's so many things you don't know. You're going out into this big wide world. There's people that have been in the big wide world 2 or 3 or 10 years longer than you. You're hanging out with all these people. You're trusting them that they're going to have your best interest at heart. A lot of those people don't. A lot of those people are just in those situations to get whatever they can, to use you, to abuse you, or whatever it happens to be. And, you're walking out this you're moving into adulthood and you're trying to deal with the scars and the things that are left, where you're going, I keep having that place where I'm going to, and I'm like remembering those things, and I don't want to because I can't change what happened. And I feel like so much of that, you then spend 10 or 20, or like I've been left school 30 years now, and you spend all of those years drowning the regrets that you have about your youth. And yeah, I just feel like at some point we need to just go, well, we can actually have a better life if we just choose to do things differently.
Yeah. So that's a bit of your story. And in amongst all of that too, so Christian school back in the 80s, legalistic, religious teachings at that stage, religious. So Kylie's parents, as she mentioned, were are Christian people. So are my parents, and my family spent most of their time around Presbyterian, Anglican mix of churches. That's mostly where they went. So if you're familiar with what that's like for people growing up in those environments, you would know what that's like. And then, Hillsong came along for Kylie after we left school. And that was a lot different to some of the church stuff that we'd been brought up in, a little bit more freedom, a little bit cooler, a little bit louder music-wise, etc., a little bit more freedom. But I still was not a part of that scene at all. I felt that those guys were way too happy.
You hated the happy people. And now we have a happy hour.
And now I'm happy.
I love it.
This is what it looks like.
It's great being happy.
But I never wanted to have anything to do with those guys. So it took how long? What year did we get married?
94.
Should know. Next
94.
year's 30 years. So 94. So in 2011. So between 94 and 11. So that's 17 years. I didn't want to have anything to do with Christians, Christianity,
church, God,
anything
nothing
to do with that.
Music.
Music. Yeah. Kylie
I couldn't
was
even play worship music in the car or anything. Used to hate it.
Like Hillsong worship music, which is now, like all around the world, and people sing it without realizing what they're singing. And it would absolutely rattle. I guess looking back, it was a spirit soul thing. It wasn't necessarily just a body thing or a hearing thing. It was more than that. It was deeper than that. But it used to rattle me, and I just used to hate it. I couldn't listen to the music. It was trying to make me happy when all I wanted to do was be sad.
And I wouldn't even say that you wanted to be sad. You just wanted to be grumpy and miserable.
Well, I don't even know if I was wanting to be. I don't think I even realized I had a choice. But career-wise, etc., we worked really hard. We've always worked very hard, and
we've always been in business, had businesses, and run businesses and managed businesses.
Yeah, I agree, Rosie. We do all need happy hour glasses, and as time goes by, we will be encouraging people to join us on the screen. We do have the technology to bring you onto our screen. And if you want to come on and have a discussion, we would love to have one person at a time. We started with that last week, but there is a requirement. You have to have a happy shirt or happy glasses.
I've got my happy dress on today.
Or both. You have to put a bit of effort in to make it look like you're happy. So if you think that you look happy and you want to have a happy discussion, and you have the technology, you have the phone, you have a nice background, we might look at bringing you on for a part of the discussion. So could see Kylie as the Pentecostal. Yeah, she was. She
Well, I was the girl that was still on the dance floor at 5 a.m. at the clubs, and I was also the girl that was still on up the front with the worship team when everyone else had left the building.
Yes, and she was we lived off and on. We lived in Sydney a few times. We've moved 27 times in our 29 years of marriage, so we've lived in lots of different places, including Sydney. And in that times when we were in Sydney, Kylie was attending Hillsong Church. It's funny, like I wasn't going to say that name for some reason, but it's just the name of a church. She did go there, and she was she knew some people. She knew the people, running things in various departments as well. And that at that time I was not going into those places. I would drop her off sometimes out the front, but I was not happy about being around it. It's okay with her going there so long as I could give her, a big stern talking to her about how much money she was giving them, etc., which she would have been. We've been in that scene, we've given and given and given.
No, the most thing you were worried about was them teaching me how to hate my husband.
Oh, was that? Probably was worried about it. I don't recall that, but I probably was. I've heard people talk about things like that since my life got flipped on its head and I started going to things like that. I've been to Hillsong Conference twice. Gonna say twice.
Maybe a few more. Yeah, only twice.
Well, you've been heaps of times. And I've also been I did a Bible college at Coffs Harbour. I was part of a Bible college there and served in a church. And then we actually started a church with another couple out at Moree as well from Coffs Harbour. So we've been in the church scenes and we know a little bit about how those things work, and we've had all the kinds of experiences that you can probably have in them. And it's been an interesting time since 2012 was when I went to Bible college, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a bit over 10 years.
And it's been 2013 since we haven't been a part of a church. So it's been 10 years since we've been, and in the last 10 years, we've been to, we would have had to have been to 100 churches, but we don't go to one particular one because our thing, Wildfire Tribe, is cheering you on. So we love just going and just meeting people wherever they are, whatever church it is, whatever church it's not. We just love going to wherever,
So
cafes,
what about if somebody on
hotels,
here lives at somewhere, say just pick a town. You pick a town in New South Wales.
Mudgee.
What if somebody in Mudgee decides that they want to start a mystical music tambourine group?
Yeah. Well,
on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
Are we going to be a part of that?
We can definitely come and cheer you on.
What are we going to do?
We'll just come out and hang out with you for a few days and just, see what it is that it's on your heart and just to really encourage you in that space because we're all about seeing people thrive in that space where you are, wherever you live, you can actually thrive everywhere because we have lived in some of the littlest, tiniest towns in Australia.
I lived in a town at Garra. That's probably the smallest place.
147?
How could it have 147? Why would they?
Let me look it up.
150.
Because I want to be exact. You like exactness.
I do like exactness.
Yeah.
So you look up the population of Garra then.
And I feel like in those places we have thrived. Have we not thrived like walking with God into his mysteries wherever he's led us? Like he hasn't just gone, oh, no, you're going to a town where there's no churches. Well, I'm not coming.
No, we've still gone wherever he wants us to go. And we've gone to towns and lived in them that have no churches or one church that gathers once a month or once a fortnight. And whilst we're there, we're always wondering what it is that he has us there for. Does he want us to start a church? We've definitely been very close a few times to starting our own churches, even just out of not knowing what to do, wondering if that's what he wants us to do.
Mm.
We still haven't done that, and I don't know that we ever will. Our pursuit is not to just like start a church. You've got to start a church. That's not necessarily what we're about. What we're about, certainly at the moment, is encouraging you to do whatever it is that God's calling you to do. If you think that we could help you, like, encourage you, come and visit you, spend some time with you, be a part of starting something, then you never know. Like, we've been involved in starting a lot of things, and I think that's something that we're good at, and it's something that we enjoy doing as well. So if you loathed Hillsong, I didn't. Yeah.
How did you find the real Jesus?
How did Hard-Nosed Gangster Man? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I look like that on screen. I'm not really. I'm just a skinny, kind-hearted.
You do look pretty gangster, actually. Now that I hadn't seen you as gangster before. I don't know if gangsters are maybe a Miami gangster. That's kind of a Miami look.
Maybe.
He's got white shoes on.
But I've got thongs. So, yeah, my story is very, very different to Kylie's story. Obviously, if you were here before, you would have heard part of Kylie's story. My story is I went to the same school as Kylie, grew up in the same town. Our parents knew each other, still do. So we're raised in very similar ways in that way. I was forced to go to church every Sunday for 18 years, or very close to 18 years. And I didn't want to, I didn't really want to go there most of that time. And I'd say towards the end of my time of, at least, up to the time where I was able to choose, which is probably around about when I left school, that I had made the decision that I was not going to go to church, because I hadn't realized by that stage, and I don't think the church did a good job of explaining it to me, or maybe I just wasn't ready for it, or maybe it's my fault, whichever way you look at it through. I didn't realize that God was real. I thought that he was a story in a book, and that all the stories in the book, like Noah and Moses and Samson and all those dudes, were like bedtime stories. And so I never equated a relationship with the creator of everything. I never realized that that was possible. And so as soon as I had the choice, I left that environment and just went off to do life, just whatever was available. And most of the people that I was spending time with at that stage just partied, drank, worked. We just worked, worked at abattoirs, on farms, whatever it was that we could get to, to just make money. Like, I don't think I ever pursued big money or anything. I just worked because that's what you did, and just spent it every week, lived week to week, and got involved in lots of things that I'm not, I don't boast about being involved in at all. Things that I kind of wish that I didn't do, but a part of my story now. And got married young, wasn't a part of all that church scene, worked my way through the hotel industry, became a hotel manager, all of that scene, on and off over 10 or so years in Sydney and Newcastle and around Newcastle, and then out in country New South Wales. We've owned hotels, etc. as well. And in 2011, we hopped on a 3-wheel motorbike to ride around Australia with 4 of us on it. And we did do that. So myself, Kylie, and our 2 boys, we had a 4-seat trike. And I don't know, we can probably put photos up of that somewhere, or we can give you somewhere to go and look at the photos, etc. We became the first 4 people to ride right around the outside of Australia on a trike. And in the middle of the Northern Territory, God spoke to me. There's no other way to explain it. There's different ways to explain it, I suppose. There's stories beforehand and afterwards, but he just spoke to me up near Mataranka as we're riding along, and he spoke to me in the way that I felt his presence. I felt him speaking to me without hearing his voice. and I had a conversation with him, or he had a conversation with me at the beginning, which was just about my life up until that stage. And it wasn't a sob story. It wasn't a highlight or a low light package of, Sean, you've done all these things wrong. It wasn't like that. It was just like, up until this stage, you've done life separate to the knowledge of me, and you can choose now to continue life with me. I had a choice to make. I feel like I had a choice to make. And whilst I was riding, I made that choice with my helmet on, riding. I can still picture the place. I can still picture what it looked like, what it felt like. And I honestly felt like my life changed in a moment, and it did change in a moment. By the time we stopped that trike that day, I thought that Kylie would know. I thought that she would know that something was different about me. I thought that she would see angel wings. And actually, up until this stage, I still don't know why people don't know when you're a God person or not. When you're walking around the street, I don't understand why people walk up to you and give you brochures telling you, you know, they can introduce you to Jesus when you already know him. I don't get that. But in that moment, my life changed, and so did the life of my entire family forever to come, not just like for now. And when we finished that trip around Australia, which took 3 months, we arrived back in Coffs Harbour, which is where we were living. And the first Sunday we were home, I told Kylie to take me to church.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, are you serious? Cool, let's go quick before you change your mind.
So that was my awakening moment. That was what in Christian circles, or some circles, they call that salvation moment. What else do they call it? Getting saved. Yeah. So,
but it wasn't even just that. You wanted to just you just were like all in. You wanted to go to Thursday church with like the oldies from the retirement home. You wanted to go to Friday night church with the youth. You wanted to go
I didn't want to. I did.
Sunday. You went to all of the services.
I was in everything.
Service.
I was mowing the lawn. I was moving people's houses. What else did we do whilst we were there?
Clean toilets. You were on the welcome team. You were in the
praying for
cooking
people,
sausages,
carrying chairs, painting houses.
Yeah.
Moving towns.
You're all in.
Yeah,
and we were all in for like a whole year together, really, like after we got back from that trip, and then that whole next year when you did college, and then we did like the church plant, and then God was like, okay, now I'm taking you on a mystical journey into the wilderness where I want to reveal myself to you in ways that you haven't experienced yet.
Yeah, there's a comment on the screen there about, what a faithful God, absolutely. To get saved organically, absolutely. And that's that's, for me, that had to be my story, because as time's gone by since 2011, there's been many times where I've questioned what this is all about, like, have I got all this wrong? And because life for us because we're all in people as well, sometimes it's really difficult, because we just go, God told us to go here or go there, and we just drop everything and go, and we have no possessions, we have no money, we have, that is our story, that is our ongoing story. So in those times when things are really difficult, I fall back on the remembering of him revealing himself to me in that helmet in the Northern Territory all those years ago.
Yeah.
And there's so many stories around that and in between that time and now that we could talk for the rest of our lives. It's like, if you wrote down everything that happened in Jesus' life, there wouldn't be enough room in the world or enough books or bookcases. It's almost like that for us as well.
Yeah.
But it needed to happen that way for me, so that I don't have to fall back on the time when Kylie convinced me that God was real.
Yeah.
Or that
the time I dragged you to church and that emotional song twigged on your heart, and then you felt like something was happening, and Yeah. Not to take away the power from any experience that has happened to people, but yeah, you just knew that you knew that you knew through all of the last 10 years where we really have walked a very unusual walk into the deep mysteries of God, where there was no denying that first revelation that you had of his seeing you, knowing you, loving you.
There's a real ripper question there on the screen. I can kind of read it. I've got these glasses on which are just really made to make me look happy and not because I normally wear prescription glasses, so I can't read properly. But I think it says something like, at what point, though, did you not think that you were just thinking about your life and where you want to go from there? It's a really good question. Yeah, and that's, I think, once again, as I was saying only a couple of minutes ago, you know, the reason why I believe it happened like that for me is because I have that to fall back on forever, that moment that's so real to me. If it happened any other way, I could question whether it was just like one of those, you know, midlife crisis sort of things where your life's not panning out so well and you would like some change to happen, etc. And so therefore you have this epiphany or, you know, change of thinking that says, you know, I'm not going to be materialistic. I'm going to be a person of substance and heart or something. So I think that for me, because it was so real and it was such a life-changing in every single part of my life way, that I have never questioned the reality of that for me. So I've never like, I can't convince anybody that God is real. I'm not in the business of doing that, because I know that he can do that for you because he did that to me. So once again, the reason and the way that it happened for me has helped me to not be that person going around bashing people with Bibles, trying to get God into you, because I know that that can just happen anyway.
Mm.
So that question, I think that you were just thinking about your life and where you want to go from there. Yeah. So from that point, honestly, Chris, that's a ripper question. You know what? My life in many ways from that point onwards has got worse. Way worse. It's the poorest I've been. So in the last, if you measure things in the way of material possessions or money in your bank account, success in the world is measured in lots of those different ways. Mate, come and I'll fax you my bank statements. You know, like, my life has been really difficult in a lot of ways since that moment. It was much easier before that moment in every other way. But I believe that God is changing everything about me. He's transforming me in every way. And it's like the $6 million man, you know, like, I'm being rebuilt with different belief structures, and I've had to let go of a lot of the stuff from the past that I just understood was how you did life. And so he's just reteaching me, and it's cost me everything, every, thing that you want to attach to your identity, it's cost me. But in the same way, when I say that, everything that it's cost me, he's given me as well. So the things that have been removed, he gave me in the first place anyway. So if it was about, just wanting to have a different life or have a better life, or thinking that, by becoming a Christian meant that I was going to have a more prosperous life, money-wise, or those sorts of things, if it was just about that, then I wouldn't have walked out everything that I've walked out in the last 10 years. I could have given up at any stage and just gone, well, God, like, it's just too hard. I'm going to go back and just make money or do whatever. And I've tried that as well. As Chris, you would know, you've been in my life in the last 10 years, and that's how we've met, in a place where I was running a hotel. And the absolute truth of that, though, is that was never, I never went to that place to open that hotel, to run that hotel just to make money. Because ever since 2011, I've not made decisions rationally based like that. Because I just go wherever it is that I feel like he wants me to go.
Yeah.
And whatever happens in those places, whether I come out financially in front or behind or even or whatever, it's just a part of walking out my existence with him. And it's like that, it's like raising a child, like as a good father, you're bringing up your children. There's things that you want them to learn, and there's different ways to teach them. And I believe that that's the journey that I'm on. I'm being taught things that sometimes feel difficult. So it's a really long question. Hopefully that answered some of what you're asking. If not, feel free to ask it in a different way. If you need any clarification on that. What else have we got there? Yeah, you two have been spared from the damage of
church into ever fresh frontiers.
Yeah, so true. That's yeah.
And I think that like our walking in the church space as well, like we haven't been as like, because we're all or nothing people, at the times that we've been a part of church communities, we're all in. Like as we have been with every single aspect of everything we've ever done in our life. So when we've been walking and hearing the voice of God and he takes you into something for a season and then pulls you out and does something completely different. If we hadn't have been sensitive and just had that our own conviction about what he was saying to our life, every single time he has moved us on from different church communities, the church community has not liked it. We've never had that embracing go, oh yes, we're so excited for you guys that God's got something amazing for you at your next place where you're going, where there are no churches.
No, they ditch us every time.
Like every time we've had concern, we've had people worried that we're not under the covering. We've had people, just go, oh no, God wouldn't want you to do that. Why don't you stay here with us? Because you're so valuable to us here, and we've just had that many times. And I feel like that's difficult because then that's putting a seed of doubt into that person's life that they're not hearing from God. And we can't be making those decisions about other people's lives about whether they are or aren't hearing from God, because we need to walk out our hearing from God journey with God ourselves. We need to just go and explore what that looks like. And because we're not living in these parameters of if it's hard, it must be wrong. If this result we get over here looks like this, oh, well, you mustn't have heard right. Because God's gauge of success isn't the same as ours. He doesn't go and learn the 5 steps to success at TAFE or at uni or at school or in his family growing up. And then that's what his how he gauges our life and our success. It just doesn't work like that. Would you?
Well, I thought that was a good comment on the screen for me as well. And I think it's really true that for me, I have been saved from being in a church environment for too long, but I'm not in the business of running down that environment either, because in a lot of ways, a lot of people need to be in that environment, and maybe it's in my future as well. So I'm not about to run it down. But for me, can I just finish what I was going to say? Was for me, because I don't necessarily move through experiences as effortlessly as Kylie. It takes me a long time to process hurts, etc. A lot more time than Kylie. So because I haven't been in that environment for a long time, and I've had disappointments in that environment, thankfully it was only for a small amount of time. So I've been able to, work my way through those things and put them behind me. Whereas if I had been in that environment for a long period of time, 20 years or so, and given my everything and been used and manipulated and, been told that I was going to have a position in a church for all of that time and never had it come true, or, all those things that can happen. If that had happened to me over a long period of time, I don't know, it would just take me a long time to recover from that. So yeah, I've been saved from that, thankfully.
Yeah. And I think too, like the part about like with the different churches that we've been a part of, because we've left when God's been saying, okay, now I'm moving you onto this place or onto this place. Each one of those times, except for the hurt that we often experience at the point of leaving, when people haven't agreed with the decisions that we're making, the time when we've spent there has been beautiful. Like we've got beautiful friendships. We've experienced community that has been really nurturing and
that's why we can't run
loving for
around
that
bashing
time.
it. We can't be
we can't. And it's also the essence of like what we are with the Wildfire Tribe is like to be cheering you on where you are, whether you're planning a church, whether you're starting a little group at your house where you just want to gather people and talk about God, whether you're hanging out at the pub and just being with your mates and just, wanting to change the way you do language with each other, which is just, let's just encourage people a little bit more in, with our mates at the pub instead of being so negative about stuff. Let's have a little bit more hope in the way that we talk about our futures or our wives together or our, instead of, and that's as simple as it can be, is just going, okay, well, we've got these people where we meet with people that we love, these places, wherever it happens to be. And anywhere where two or more are gathered, like there can be life there in the midst of that. There can be encouragement. We can be championing one another, and God can be dwelling in that place with us no matter where it is.
Yeah.
And the beauty of that is that we have experienced that firsthand everywhere that we've gone. And we know that even in the front bar of a hotel in a small country town, or in a big, vibrant, massive, big convention centre with 20,000 people in the middle of Sydney, that all of these places and everywhere in between, we can be together in a place of encouragement with one another. And we can also be in those spaces, and God dwells in the midst of us in any of those places and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of it, is that moving forward, we just want to champion people wherever they're at. And we don't want to have any lines, because if we're going to move forward into this great, expansive, beautiful new space called our world and bring some kind of transformation, whether it be in our family unit where we're learning to love one another stronger and better, or whether it's like on a national scale, or whether it's on an international scale, the only way that we're going to see full transformation is just to love people where they are. And if everybody just loved everybody in that space of like, whatever you believe, wherever you're at, whatever your point of view is, whether you're a yes person or a no person, that's the most recent thing in our space, in our nation, is that it's not that we're gathering together because we think the same or we believe the same or that we even agree, because that doesn't matter, because love covers the ability for us all to be able to move forward no matter what we think, because we can just appreciate that we're all at different places on our path, that we think different things, that we can believe different things, but we can actually still go, yeah, actually that, I just love where you're at. Let's journey to the next place together, just by being encouraging whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And disagreements, theologically, etc. This is why we have denominations. So
yep.
Can we just, what we try and do in all of the things that we're involved in our Zoom meetings, etc., is we enter in love and we leave that way.
Yeah.
And whatever happens in the middle of it, it's okay to think that things are different.
Yeah.
Because it's all about love and unity and maturing in your walk with God requires you to sometimes have to change your opinion because somebody's got a different viewpoint, or it requires you to close your mouth and be okay with it. It requires a maturing of each of us, all of us, to be able to keep moving forward together. Yeah. And we're not necessarily very good at that, but as a Wildfire Tribe, as a group of people that are in the business of encouraging others, it is absolutely something that we bring with us everywhere we go.
And I think it's hard too, because when you're saying that, about that together as well, like sometimes I feel like because there's, thousands and millions and billions of people in the world.
There's
So
7 or 8 billion, Kylie, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
It's not thousands or millions.
No, but it just depends on where your world is. Like, if you're thinking about the world, then there's like billions. But if your world is in like a small town, then you might only have thousands of people in your world, or hundreds of people in your world. Like there's different amounts of people that are in our worlds.
Oh, yeah. Not in the world. So you're not including aliens.
That's right.
You're not including beings from other planets or beings in other dimensions.
No, so there's probably billions and trillions of beings and people.
I do like to be accurate.
Yes, because, there are aliens out there and all kinds of dudes and space angels and madness and coolness. Like, but like getting back to that whole togetherness thing too, like I think that's the part too where because sometimes we need to pull away from people for a time to be able to come into, like there was a comment there before about the good being the enemy of best, and like I do talk about some of those things in my book as well.
Before you go on, have you got a copy of your book?
I think we're frozen.
No, we haven't frozen. No, just
we're frozen
now. But we can probably just keep talking just in case they've still got sound, because that's possible.
Yeah. Can we like come on and off again? I know if we've.
Hello, is anybody there? Hello. We might be back already.
We're coming back. Hey,
please
we're back.
Just give us a comment or a something,
Yay.
and that'll tell us that we're live again. Before we just get going again, please just hit the share, hit the like, hit the love heart. I see that. I like that face on the top.
The little wow face.
Yeah, that's a really cool face. I don't know what the wow was for. Oh, there's some love heart or something just flew up the screen. Thank you very much. So that means that we're live. Thank you for sticking around. We don't know what just happened. So Kylie was just talking about best, and what was the other word?
Good being the enemy of best. Somebody put in the comments.
And we were talking about Kylie's book, because she actually does cover a lot of that in her book.
Yeah.
She's written an amazing book, and it's there on the screen. The New Now is the name of it. And it is amazing because that's the feedback that we keep on getting from her book, that people are reading it and are overwhelmed with the goodness of God in our life, and people are reading it and able to relate to it. It's an easy read, even for somebody like me that falls to sleep when they read Christian books, as we were talking about in the beginning. I actually read Kylie's book in one afternoon.
Yeah, it's not a big book.
How many pages is it?
It's got because and I did that on purpose, because not everyone wants to like read a big book. 114 pages.
114 pages. So it's on the bottom of the screen.
It's really easy to read. It's kind of reads a bit like well, I'm actually a better reader than I am a talker. So
no, writer.
Oh yeah, a better writer.
You're not a good talker.
I'm a bit of a tongue-tied talker, but I can write a lot better than I speak.
So Kylie has written a book called The New Now. It's on the bottom of our screen. You can get it on the website. You can get it in any bookstore, and it is a great book to read. It's a great book to give to other people as well. Can I just, before we move on, Kylie, I really do want to mention the upcoming conference that's in Mildura.
Yeah.
So Mildura, Australia, for those of you that are listening from outside of the country, or if you're from WA and you may as well be in another country, you can't say that about those guys over
What?
there, Kylie, in WA.
What?
That's not very nice.
Oh, they must be in another country.
Yeah.
You said it.
Mildura is in Victoria, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Oh, you were asking me. I thought you were asking them.
On the what date in November is this conference?
The 12th and the 13th of November.
You sure? I thought it was the 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Oh, let me look. You just keep talking and I'll look it up.
Around about the 10th of November.
No, I'm sure it's not the 10th.
I can put up the website. The website is hwob.au. It's on the bottom of the screen. HWOB stands for Hub Without Borders. So at this conference, which is in Mildura, and Kylie will come up with the date here in a second, there is a person called Justin Paul Abraham that will be there. He's from Wales. There's a lady called Nancy Cohen and her daughter called Shannon Bates, who are from the US somewhere.
Yeah.
Some little mountain town somewhere in the US. And they are going to be converging in Mildura for a conference. Now, these guys are in Christian mystic circles, I suppose is the best way to put it. People that, how do you put it? These guys,
they just love people. They love people and they love God, and they're just on this deep walk of mystery and wonder and experiencing like what it is to be hopeful about the future, to be able to engage with this transformational restoration of all things that is possible in our world if we all came to this place where we could believe that it was possible.
Yeah. So they're going to be there at this conference. Plus there's going to be Aussies speaking. There's actually going to be I better not give away too much there. So at the conference, it's only like a couple $100, isn't it, to go to the conference?
It's going to be amazing. If you're in anywhere in Victoria, if you're in Adelaide, any country, New South Wales, like it's just going to be such an amazing weekend. The 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Okay. So go to that website on the bottom of the screen.
November.
Buy a ticket. Buy a couple of tickets. Buy 5 tickets. And get some friends together and come. And Kylie, Chris, I don't know if you're still watching or not because we had our technical issue, but Kylie will buy you a burger. She used to cook them for you. You should just come. Kylie will buy you a burger. And you know what? For anybody else that's sort of semi-curious, anybody that knows who Justin Abraham is, etc., anybody that just wants to go and meet people just like us, just go. And
it's just going to be amazing.
It may not even be about the guys that are holding the microphones up the front, the reason why you're there. It may be about actually just meeting other people.
Definitely. And that's the beauty of it. It's about connecting with people and just, being able to just have those amazing conversations that take us into a different space of understanding.
Probably a better burger. Kylie spent 3 years cooking burgers.
Yeah. And we actually we got finalist best burger in New South Wales. I was very proud of that because I have no chef training.
Well, you can say that now, but you wouldn't have said it at the time.
I wouldn't have said that I had no chef training.
At the time, no.
Oh, no, I was more than open about the fact that I wasn't a trained chef.
It's just like...
I used to wear a chef outfit, though.
Did you?
Sometimes. Yeah, remember when I used to wear the black and whites for a while? Yeah.
Yeah. The burgers. Oh, here we go. Okay, you got me on the burgers. Oh, how's that?
Like, Chris, that's madness.
See, Chris is a legend, and that just blows me up. Chris, who's from country New South Wales, he said he's a bit busy, but if someone can't buy their ticket, I'd happily buy a ticket for someone to pay it forward. That is phenomenal.
That's very special. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. that is amazing. Yeah, and you were always a generous man in the time that we spent with you. Yeah, phenomenal people. Thanks for that. Wow. So what else we got there? Mildura worship leaders played at my wedding. My goodness.
That's pretty wild.
Chris says, no worries, let me know.
They
Thank you,
are
Chris.
amazing.
We'll be in touch, mate. If there's anybody that's desiring to be there at the conference in Mildura and the only reason why you're not able to be there is because you can't afford a ticket, then we do have somebody in country New South Wales who has decided that they will buy a ticket for you. So get in touch with us you can actually get in touch with us even via that website on the bottom, because we know we can get messages through there as well, or you can get in touch with us through our own website, which is wildfiretribe.life, or through Facebook Messenger. If you've got our numbers from the past, if you've known us from the past, you've probably got our phone numbers. If you're like, yeah, I really would like to go there, and I just would really like to meet some people and see if there's some people that live, maybe you live in Dubbo and you think that there's nobody around you that thinks like you.
Yeah.
You're isolated, you're lonely. But you might find that if you go to a conference in Mildura, that there's somebody that lives at Brocklehurst, just outside of Dubbo.
Yeah. Or Wongarbin.
Or Geary.
Yeah.
Wellington.
Yeah.
You might just have to go to Mildura to meet somebody that's close by.
Yeah.
We've met people from Australia in Zooms in America.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild. Yeah. There's people everywhere that are on this journey of discovering the more within themselves, like discovering, who God is to them and what that means to walk with him in their life, whatever that looks like, and that it's this great limitless life, rather than it just being this small little piece of like a Sunday morning when you put on your fancy clothes and you mind your P's and Q's and you take off your hat when you walk in the door.
Oh, yeah.
All these rules. It's actually like this immersive walk where you realize that we're all a body, soul, and a spirit, and that each piece of ourselves isn't complete if we're ignoring the spirit man, and that we were created by this creator who is like intricately woven together the entire universe, and we can co-create with him in our world, whatever that looks like, whether we're working on machinery, or whether we're farmers, or whether we're planting crops, or whether we're artists and we're painting pictures, or whether we serve milkshakes in an ice cream bar, or whatever it happens to be that we're doing.
Can you go in a hat and sunglasses to this event?
You can wear whatever you want,
but you must wear something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't come naked.
No, you can't.
You can't come naked, but you can definitely wear crazy glasses. You can wear colorful clothes. You can wear cowboy boots, or you can wear jandals.
In the
garden, you can wear thongs.
In the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve first fell for that snake trick with the apple.
Oh yeah.
That old story.
I've heard that story.
You know how they then realized that they were naked? What did they put on themselves to cover themselves?
Just leaves.
What sort of leaves?
Fig, I think.
Are you telling me they put fig leaves across their privates? Kylie, out the front of our house, we have fig trees, don't we?
Yeah, big leaves.
They're not big leaves.
No, if you look at the fig tree in the backyard, though, it's a different kind of fig tree.
In our backyard?
Yeah. They've got big leaves.
We don't have a fig tree.
Yeah, we do.
That's a completely different fig tree.
Yeah, it's a different plant.
I was going to say, back in those times, they must have been small people. Really small people.
With small private parts that those tiny little leaves could cover, unless they stitched all the leaves together.
Doesn't say in the Bible that they stitched lots of leaves together and covered their private parts and hid from God. Only just realised. So we've got fig trees out the front and back, and they're different.
Yeah. One has the fruiting kind, although those ones out the front do have fruit, but I don't think we eat that fruit.
So you're allowed to come to this event in whatever attire that you like.
Mm.
You won't be encouraged to have fun. You just will have fun.
You will have fun. Yeah.
I've been into 2 churches in the last 5 years, I'm going to say, where I had a hat on and I got told both times to take it off. Didn't I?
By a sweet old lady.
No,
in
it
one
wasn't
of the
a sweet
times,
old lady.
One
The
of the
second
times
time.
it was a
The
sweet
second
old
time I
lady.
even asked somebody who invited me if I could wear a hat, and they said yes. And then when I went in there, they told me to take it off in the middle of the service. But we don't care about the hat, the sunglasses, the happiness.
Yeah.
It's all party time.
Just encouraging people to be you, your authentic self, because you're loved, like right exactly where you are. Like we just love you on your journey, and we're just wanting to cheer you on into the best person, that you dream of being.
And if you can't make it to the conference, but you still want to actually watch the conference from home, you can actually live stream it into your lounge room.
You can do.
So you can stay in your comfortable lounge room on your recliner with your air conditioner on, kick back with your big screen and watch the conference. You just have to go to that website that we had up there before to purchase online tickets for that same event. So HWOB is the place to get it. And so you can actually watch from home without going to Mildura as well. So really running out of excuses.
But I can't encourage you enough to come. If you've got a car, you've got transport, you've got a way to get there, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. There is actually people coming from all around the world and WA.
And WA, I love it.
You got anything else that you wanted to broach this evening on our happy hour time?
Well, I think we've just talked about a lot of stuff, and we've had an action-packed double happy hour, because really happy is way more than an hour.
Can you watch it naked from home? Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I
of course you
can't
can.
see a problem with that.
I'm pretty sure that we don't get reverse streaming, so that's good.
Fig leaves would be scratchy. No wonder God clothed them.
Yeah, that's what I agree. Fig leaves are scratchy. I don't reckon they'd be too comfy in the fig leaves.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if I even, if all of those stories are exactly like whether they're like a mystery. There's like a mystery in the story that it's like, yeah.
Yeah, probably a topic for another day. We could talk forever.
Yeah.
I feel like we already have spoken forever tonight. Thank you for everybody for joining us, and for commenting and for liking and sharing.
And guys, if you want to hear more, we have a podcast, Wildfire Tribe, on all the podcast platforms. There's stacks and stacks of all kinds of different topics we talk about on there every week. Every Friday morning, we release a new one, and we pretty much talk about everything, don't we?
So we've done 40 of them?
Yep. And there is stacks and stacks of different topics. So if you haven't
listened to any of them, go to Spotify and look up Wildfire Tribe, which is on the screen there, or get in touch with us if you forget how to do it. That's all right, and we'll put you onto it. And just start listening to those. They go for an hour each, and we cover all the hot topics from seeing angels to what else, Kylie, have we spoken about?
Dark Night of the Soul. We talk about what is a mystic. We talk about like a renewal and revival and all those kind of things. We talk about, do you have to go to church? Like we talk about like there's just so many gazillions of topics there that we've kind of looked into over the last year, and heaps of stuff. So jump on.
So thanks for joining in. We really appreciate all of you, and we especially appreciate those guys and girls that have commented, etc.
Yes.
I'm sure that there's comments that we haven't seen, but thank you to those people as well that we haven't mentioned. And we look forward to being with you again sometime down the road. It'll be Monday night, 8:00 Sydney time, if not before.
Yes, and we love you and we're cheering you on.
Thank you.